All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets to having truly effective conversations with customers, whether you're in sales or just building a new product. And we'll do it by combining two absolute powerhouse frameworks. We're going to figure out how to stop getting those misleading false positives and start uncovering the real needs that actually drive big decisions. You know the feeling, right? You have a conversation that feels great, everyone's nodding and smiling, they tell you they love your idea, and then crickets, nothing happens. This quote from the mom test just nails it. The real danger of these feel-good chats is the bad data they give you. They make you think you're onto something when really all you've gotten is a polite compliment. So let's figure out why this happens and, more importantly, how to fix it.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to diagnose the problem. Why so many well-intentioned conversations just fall flat. Then we'll get into two incredible frameworks, spin selling and the mom test. And finally, the really cool part, we'll merge them into one single super practical strategy that you can start using right away.
Okay, section 1. Let's talk about the high cost of bad data. You know, the wrong questions don't just waste an hour of your day, they can send your whole project, your whole sales cycle completely off the rails. The goal here isn't to ask more questions, it's about learning to ask the right kinds of questions that get you hard facts, not just feel-good fluff. You know, one of the most fascinating findings from the research behind spin selling is this. The techniques that work for small, simple sales can actually kill your chances in a large, complex one. Things like aggressive closing or tricky objection handling might work for a one-off transaction, but in a major deal, you're not just selling a product, you're building a relationship. The whole psychology is different. This right here is such a critical insight. Our job isn't to walk in and ask for opinions on our amazing solution. Our job is to dig in and get the hard, cold facts about their problems as they exist right now. Think about it. It's their job to tell us about their life and their struggles. It's our job to figure out a solution. And that distinction, well, that brings us to our first framework. All right, let's talk about spin selling. Now, this isn't just some theory someone cooked up. It's based on a massive study. We're talking analyzing over 35,000 sales calls over 12 years to figure out what do the top performers actually do differently in big sales. The result is a simple, powerful, and best of all, proven roadmap for navigating these complex conversations. So the spin sequence, it's not just a checklist of questions. You have to think of it more like a psychological journey. It's designed to guide the customer. You start with their current situation, and you slowly lead them to a place where they are the ones articulating the value and the urgency of a solution. It's all about them discovering the need, not you pushing a product on their throat. So, it all starts with situation questions. These are just about gathering the basic facts, understanding the world they live in. Things like, what kind of equipment are you using now? Or, how is your team structured? But here's the key. The best reps do their homework. They only ask for essential information they couldn't find somewhere else. They don't waste time. Okay, once you have the facts, you move on to problem questions. This is where you shift from context to pain. You ask things like, are you happy with your current process? Or what are the biggest disadvantages of the way you're doing things now? These questions are designed to uncover what Spin calls implied needs. Basically, the raw material, the starting point for any sale. Now, this next one is absolutely crucial. This is where most average salespeople stop, but where the pros really shine. Implication questions. These explore the consequences of the problems you just uncovered. So, what's the effect of that workflow issue on your team's output? Questions like this transform what might seem like a small annoyance into a big, urgent, and expensive problem. They build the pain and make the need for a solution feel obvious. And finally, we have need payoff questions. This is where the magic happens. You get the customer to explain in their own words the benefits of solving the problem. So you'd ask, how would it help your team if you could cut down that processing time? See what that does? It completely flips the dynamic. Now they are the ones selling themselves on the solution. They're turning their implied needs into explicit needs. It's brilliant. Okay, so let's shift gears to our second framework. Spin gives us this fantastic structure, right? It's the what to ask. But the mom test gives us the rules for how to ask those questions in a way that gets you the truth, not just polite lies. Think of it as the truth filter for every single conversation. The philosophy here is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, stop pitching your amazing idea and just ask about their life. Second,
And this is a big one, don't ask hypothetical questions about the future like, would you buy a product that did X? It's useless. Instead, ask about concrete experiences they've had in the past. This grounds the whole conversation in facts, not opinions and empty compliments.
So to make these rules really easy to use, we can distill them into this great little framework called SPACER. It's basically a checklist to make sure your questions are grounded in reality. You're looking for S, specific stories, P, past behavior, A, actual problems. You learn about these by asking about C, their current process. Then you look for E, evidence of that pain, and R, you understand the relationships and context around it.
And this right here is where it all comes together. The most important thing to realize is that these two frameworks aren't in conflict at all. They're perfect complements. Think of it like this. SPIN is your roadmap for the conversation, guiding you through those 4 key stages. And SPACER? That's your all-terrain vehicle, making sure that every question you ask on that journey is tough enough to uncover the actual truth.
When you put these two together, wow. When you combine SPIN's structure with SPACER's truth-seeking method, your questions just become incredibly powerful. You're not just asking about problems anymore. You're asking for specific stories about past problems. You're not just vaguely exploring implications. You're asking for the quantifiable, real-world consequences they've already felt. Let's make this super concrete, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Instead of a standard kind of weak problem question like, is your current process inefficient, you use SPACER. You use S for specific stories and C for current process, and you ask, can you walk me through the last time that process completely broke down? See the difference? Or for an implication question, instead of how does that impact the business, you use E for evidence and ask, what did that delay end up costing the project in overtime pay or missed deadlines? You get facts, not feelings. Okay, so you get the theory. But knowing this stuff is one thing. Actually doing it, in a live conversation with a real person, that's a whole different ballgame. And just like any other high-level skill, mastering this approach doesn't just happen by accident. It takes deliberate, focused practice.
Luckily, the research from Spin Selling gives us a clear method for turning this knowledge into an actual skill. The rules are simple. First, don't try to master everything at once. Just pick one behavior, like asking better implication questions. Second, try it at least 3 times. Third, focus on quantity over quality at first. Just get the reps in. And finally, practice in safe, low-stakes situations before you take it to the big meeting.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of the whole mindset shift. This entire approach is about seeking the truth, not seeking validation. You have to understand that the most valuable thing you can get from any conversation is learning. And sometimes that means learning you're on the completely wrong path. Rejection isn't failure, it's data. Compliments, they're just noise. So as you go into your next customer conversation, your next sales call, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you hunting for facts or are you just fishing for compliments? Because the answer to that question is going to determine whether you're building your business on a solid foundation of truth or on the very shaky ground of just wishful thinking.